Okay, we are just about done with the inside. You have no idea what I did. I opened this up. Remember when I was showing you all the things about, hey, this shape flex is 4.5 inches and this is the 6-inch piece. Well, beyond me, or unbeknownst to me, the piece that said, hey, 6.5 was visible right here. You know, it was right here, and it was like, are you kidding me? So what I ended up doing is, you know, I took this off and everything because I had written 6.5 in this non-erasable marker. Thank you very much. And what I ended up doing is just recovered it. And what I did is I just put another piece of shape flex on top of it so you can't see the writing. You can't see the writing. So, you know, you learn these lessons like, what are you thinking, girl? But things happen, and so you can generally recover from it because I didn't want to take this all the way off. When you're sewing this down, remember, get your zipper out of the way and be mindful of these D-rings, you know, because they may want to go ahead and do one of these numbers as you're sewing. You know, they want to do one of these numbers, and if you hit it with your machine, I don't care what kind of machine you have, you will bollocks that machine something terrible. So make sure and be mindful to pull your D-rings out. This is the center, you know, this is the center of your, you know, of your wallet. This is the center of your wallet and everything. So you want those D-rings roughly on center. This one I made on center as well, although it comes underneath here. I didn't have a real big problem with that. You know, this is on center so I can get a pen in there pretty comfortably. This is still open. You know, I still have this completely open so that I can hopefully, and if I have to, I'll go ahead and pick stitch a little bit in here. Again, when I'm done and pulled it all the way inside out, I will go ahead and fuse this shut. I won't go ahead and sew it. And this is done. Again, when I basted this all together, when I did the basting, I did it from the wrong side. So I did all my basting from the wrong side because this is my guideline right here. This is my lining fabric. And so this is the line that I'm going to be using when I do my 1/4 inch seam allowance. Okay, does that make sense? Again, like what I say, be mindful of where your D-rings are hitting and be careful as you're going over your zippers. My industrial doesn't care, but my home machine may, you know, if you hit this thing wrong, you may break a needle. So take your time when you're going over the hump in your zipper and move that zipper pull out of the way. This, I think, is done for the inside. I think this is going to be actually really pretty. When I put it together, and I will trim these off, okay, you can go ahead and trim this. You don't necessarily need to trim any of this, but, you know, I may have some problems here because I've got this piece right in here, but if I go in 1/4 inch, I may be able to be okay. I may, sorry, you can't see what I'm talking about. I may have a little bit of a problem right in here. So what I may do is take my machine and go ahead and just gently tack this down, and this will tell me, you know, I will get this side seam pulled in. So that's what I might have to do, is just tack this down. And it was the origami fold. You know, I got off slightly here, so that shouldn't be a big problem. I can recover from that. When I put it together, another thing that I will do, a couple things that I will do, I try to put the one zippered pocket opposite the other zippered pocket. I don't want to necessarily put both my zippered pockets on top of each other because it gets very bulky in here to go through 2 complete zippered pockets. Although, you know, this is no easy feat either. So what I'll tend to do is I'll tend to put one zipper pocket here and my other zipper pocket here, okay? And then what I will also do is I'm going to go ahead and do a slight rounding of the corner, just a slight rounding of that corner. It helps me when I turn this thing so it's not quite so painful, because you can't get it square. You're just not going to get it square. So what I can do is I'll line everything up and get that pretty good looking. Let me see if I can pull my... And then I'll go ahead, you can take a pen or a pencil or whatever you've got, and I'm going to go ahead and just do a really gentle, I'm going to just do a really gentle curve like that, okay? Really gentle, don't be crazy, don't do something like this, because what you end up doing is if you do something that's really dramatic like that, you will impact the ability of this corner pocket to hold a full card, because you will have sewn like that and you can't get your card fully in there. So all you want to do is just round that corner. So I come up about, I don't know, what is that, about an inch and everything, and then I'll just round that corner just like that, and you can just hand round it. Just hand round it, and then what I'll do is I'll go ahead and sew in here. I'll go ahead and sew down, and I'll go ahead and sew with a 1/4 inch, because I'm going to sew with a 1/4 inch from this, so I'm going to be sewing about here. So actually it's probably going to be more rounded like that, but I'll go ahead and sew. I'll go ahead and sew this right here, and then I'll trim it, okay? Because you've got your opening right here. So let's make sure we've got everything. Who knows if we have everything? I have 2 zippered pockets. One has my Velcro, which is good. I have my 2 D-rings, which is fine. Optional, completely optional. You don't have to have D-rings if you're not going to use them. This is open and this is open, so that's nice. And this has all been basted down. And I've got my pocket, or my button loop here, so I think I'm ready to go. So I'm going to go ahead and pull that together, and I'll get right back with you. I'm going to trim this too. I'll trim it with my scissor. I wanted to try to show you this at the machine itself. Again, take your time with this. A home machine is not going to be amused. It'll do it, but it won't be real amused. So what I've done is I've come here, and I'm just gently going to go ahead and round that corner. Let's see if I can get that. And then I'm going to come in. Here's my sew line is right here, and I want to bring it in another, 1/8 of an inch or 1/4 of an inch inside that sew line. So that's kind of what I'm trying to do. Take your time when you go over your ribs here, and take your time when you go over your D-rings. Make sure that your zippered pocket is pulled here. You don't want to flip into that either. So let me show you. Okay, I've sewn on the wrong side. I've sewn on the, both sides of the lining side. So I've sewn on the lining side, and I've sewn, here was my original sew line, so I bring it out 1/8 of an inch, little less than 1/4 of an inch from the original sew line, and then I'll just round that corner using this one kind of as a guide. And then, so theoretically, she'll open up like that. So we'll just give that a whirl. What I'm going to do, and again, your stitch length, go ahead with a stitch length of maybe 3.5 or something like that. This does not need to be tight at all. And then what I'll do is I'll go ahead and clip around here. If you've got a pair of pinking shears, that's kind of nice, because that kind of reduces a little bit of the bulk. But if you don't have a pair of pinking shears, you don't need to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of go around here, and I'm going to kind of get that kind of debulked a little bit. So I like it here because I know I'm correct because I sewed from this side. Let's turn it over and make sure that I miss anything. What you don't want to miss is you don't want to miss, that's right, I got to play with that other piece, don't I? You don't want to miss any of this piece right in here. You want to make sure you have captured all of this. You want to make sure you have captured all these raw edges right in here. We did have that problem, didn't we? Let me go ahead. I may have to, let's see, where is that? My big credit card zipper pocket. That's my zip piece. I just want to make sure, did I catch it all? I may not have caught it all. Where is it? That is my credit card pocket is right here. I did have that problem where I may not have caught it all. I think I did. Let's give that one a whirl and we'll see. I'm going to go ahead and clip all the way in here. I'm going to clip all the way around, and let's see if we caught all of our raw edges. An idea of what you're doing. You're really trying to birth this thing. So yeah, just gentle. And if it rips a little bit, it's ripped because of the stitches that you tried to make that inside lining. Let's see if I this thing, because she's bulky. But when she works well, she's pretty. She flattens out okay. Okay. Good. And sometimes too, you know, you're sitting there going, wait a minute, I've got a pocket here, but I don't have anything right here. What the heck happened? Oh my God, what happened? It didn't happen. You just got this thing, flip this back out. You're fine. You didn't lose a pocket. You're good to go. And so I've done a little bit of a rounding, not too bad, because I don't want to lose a lot of game here. Let's see what that side looks like. That looks good. I think that was the side that I was going to potentially have problems with. Yeah, so I caught them both. Okay, good. Let me go ahead and get this together, and then I'll go ahead and iron it out. Okay, I finally kind of got this thing turned right side out. And because we took a very narrow, remember when we did that real narrow curve? That's good, because what ends up happening is the wallet has 3 pieces, you know, 3 pockets, but you do have a little bit of game on each side for edging. And so because that was a very narrow curve, I still have a pretty nice full pocket here. I can get a full card in there without too much of a problem. So that's good, okay? So I like it. And then you've got, yeah, so you've got all your pockets here. So you can see them and you like them, and that's looking pretty good. So that has been turned nicely. This one was turned nicely here. We're going to go ahead and fuse this shut. We'll get it all pulled together, and we'll get it really nice and stitched, not stitched out, but ironed out and make this real pretty. That looks good. That looks good. And then this looks good. I didn't lose any pocket size here, so I can put my easy quick cards in here. Okay, and that's good. That's good. The only thing that we have left to do is do the lanyard. And I'll show you how to do a lanyard and the button. Then you have to find a really beautiful button that really pulls it all together. So let me go ahead and get this thing ironed and finished up. Okay, I've already kind of finished it and made it, you know, I did all the rounding and everything, and I made sure that all my seams, did I miss anything? Do I have anything that I didn't catch? Because you know, going back to fight it is painful as heck. So I didn't miss anything. Everything seems to be in there. D-rings look good. Everything looks pretty good, but I need to get this this piece done. So what this is a seam roll and everything. This is, and it's rounded. You can see that it's kind of rounded and it's kind of hard and everything. So you can put your on top here. You put your wallet on top, and I'll go ahead and iron this out a little bit. And you have this opening right here. So once again, your stitch witchery is perfect for here. Really perfect. You can do it by hand. If you wanted to do it by hand, you could do it by hand. But this just doesn't get a lot of action, so I can go ahead and stitch witchery that and feel pretty confident that that will always remain really nice. Okay, she'll be pretty stable, so I like it. I'm gonna go final. And now she's locked in. She's glued down, so she's not going anywhere. So that's that piece. Now what we're going to do is we're going to finish up the button. Then we'll do the lanyard. The button, I know probably when you lift this up and everything, and I'm going to choose, this is a 1-inch button. I thought that was real pretty. So I think probably about there is about right. Remember, this piece was 7 inches, so this is about right. And it's roughly in the center of your pocket here. So I think that looks good. Now to do it, you already know how to put on a button, but maybe I can help you with a little bit. So I know that I'm going to do it here. And if you wanted to, you could go ahead and make a little, to say, hey, X marks the spot, right about there. Open this up. What I've got here, too, that's helpful, these are self-threading needles. I wonder if you can see that. There's a little bitty groove in the top of this needle, okay? And it just, what you end up doing is, it's called a self-threading needle. I got these on Amazon. But there's a little bitty divot in the top of this needle, okay? I know it's kind of tough to see. What I've done is I've got some white thread here that I've doubled. I think I will eventually have 8 threads going through at one time. And so I will take it, and did I use it? And I will fold it, and do all the, I'm looking for my stuff here, doggone it. This is called Thread Heaven. When you start working with this much thread, sometimes they like to twist. It's not sometimes they like to twist. They like to twist all the time. And so this is called Thread Heaven. This is a silicone-based conditioner, and I've used a lot of it. But you can take your thread and you can run it through this conditioner, and you just run it through like this, and you get it so that it de-twists a little bit. The silicone just helps the thread from twisting up, making you crazy. Won't completely prevent it, but it's good. And then I've got this long piece of monstrous amount of thread. Twist it, put it on top of your needle in your groove, and just gently punch it down. And so now your needle is threaded. And then what I do is I'll do it and get my raw edges together, okay? So now I've got 8 pieces of thread. There's no sense in going through 400 times when you can go through 4 and you're done. So what I do here, you notice that I didn't knot the thread. And here is where I want my pocket, I want it to be right about here, okay? And remember, we did some good work with shape flex on the inside in here just to reinforce this. Go ahead and pull it through. I have not knotted my thread, okay? Bring it all the way through, almost to the end. See, and I've got all these raw edges right here, okay? Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come at it crossways. I'm going to kind of make a T. I'm going to come at it through this way, just like this, okay? Pull it through. Get yourself out of the way of that raw, all those raw pieces right there. So here you have your loop, okay? Here's my loop. And I'm going to go through once through my loop. Keep these raw edges out of the way. And I'm going to go through twice through my loop. It's kind of a surgical knot. And you're just going to go ahead and pull. Now, this is knotted. This piece is knotted. This piece you can go ahead and cut off, okay? Because what you've done is you've knotted it, but you don't have a big fat hunk of knot. Yeah, I don't have anything on the other side. You can't even see what I've got on the other side. It's right there, okay? So that's how you do a really nice knot. Then go ahead and do my needle. And then it's just like a regular button. What you've done is you reduced a lot of the knotting ugliness that a knot gives you. Through here, through here. And because I've got literally 8 strands of thread, you only have to go through a couple times, and then you only have to go through 3-4 times, and you've got plenty. And because we've reinforced it, it's nice looking. Come up again. Just be mindful of your thread will want to attack you. And I'll go through one more time. Here's my one time. Now I'm going to wrap it. I'm going to wrap it, and I'm going to wrap the shank. It helps to stabilize that thread. So now I have a nice shank on the bottom of my button. Okay. Go in here. I'm going to knot it again. So here's my knot. Get that kind of de-twisting. Okay, and de-twisted her. Go through once, go through twice. Gather. Okay, pull. Okay, you've got a knot there and she's not coming out, girl. Then what you can do is to kill it, just go ahead and go in between. If you're good, you go in between the thread and your shape flex. And then that just kills your raw edge. Snip. So your raw edge gets sucked back into between the button. So now you have this really nice button, right? And you have virtually no ugliness here. You don't have a big honking knot. And so now this goes like that. And that's good. It'll hold. And that's really pretty. So it's a really cool needle, but it's a self-threading needle. It's got a little top gouge or groove in it, and it just snaps. It's kind of like flossing. It just kind of flosses in there, and you can get a lot of, like I said, there's 6 or 8 layers of thread that I've been playing with here. 1, 2, I think there's 8. So that's good. Okay, now I'll get back and let's go ahead and do that lanyard. Okay, I'm back again for whatever reason, and I'm not exactly sure why. My video that talked to you about how to make this lanyard in terms of the sizing, I lost the video. So I'm going to go ahead and do another lanyard out of another fabric. I did this pretty purse. This is a silver, and I did that lanyard. But I think I'm going to make another one for a girlfriend, and so I liked it, so I'm going to make another lanyard for her. But let me go ahead and talk to you about the sizes of your lanyard. Your lanyard kind of depends on, you know, in some respects, you know, how big is your hand, you know, how much hand space you want to go in there. This one I probably initial cut was about 13. This one I initial cut about 13 and a half. Somewhere between 13 and a half should be able to get your paws through there. If you've got really big hands, you might want to go as much as 14, but I think somewhere between 13 and a half is your sweet spot. You can see the difference in this, that, you know, this sticks up quite a bit. This probably does not. The reason why this does is I gave myself a shot at use that Pellon 926 as the inside of this. It worked out pretty well, but it is a much more substantial lanyard. Boy, that's substantial. This is not a heavy wallet. She is not a particularly heavy wallet. That may be a bit overkill to use the Pellon, but I tried it just to see if I liked it. This one here, I think I used shape flex on the inside, and I think that's probably about right. So we'll go ahead and gun for this shape flex. This is measuring, like I said, your sweet spot is somewhere between 13 and 13 and a half inches long by 3 and a half inches wide. You do have a 1-inch swivel hook. I think 1 inch works real well. You could probably go 3/4, but 1 inch works well, particularly with these dimensions. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to do this where if I know this is 1 inch right here, then if I fold this together until this reaches 2 inches, and that's about 2 inches right there, if I crease all this way and I make this strip 2 inches wide, when I fold it together, it will miraculously become 1 inch, which will work for my swivel hook. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Okay, I've done the 2-inch piece, and so when you pull it together, and these are just raw edges facing each other here, and then when I pull it down here, then this should, in theory, come out to be about 1 inch, and it does. So my swivel hook is going to fit fine through there. You know, one thing that you could do is if you were doing a lot of these, you could conceivably do a manila, you could slice a manila envelope, you know, manila folder. You could slice one 2 inches wide, stick it in here, then you wouldn't have to fiddle with it so much. You could stick it in and use the manila as your paper guide, you know, your template. Actually, that works out really well because I'm using a 1-inch swivel hook. So that's one option for you too. If you were going to make a number of these, you could do like I said, just do a big manila folder and then just cut a 2-inch strip of it, and then you wouldn't have to fiddle with it. So that's kind of a nice idea that I just thought of. Then you're going to go ahead and come down here, all right? And then I'm going to go ahead and press this. Okay. Don't finish it because what I'm going to do is in the next video, what I'm going to teach you how to do is you'll put your swivel hook on here, okay? And then what you're going to do is open it back up again. You've got your press marks, which is nice. So you open it back up here. And on the edge here, you open it back up here. And you put your right sides together just like that, okay? And so what I'm going to do is when in my next video, I think I kick off where this is right here. What you're going to do is you're going to sew 1/4 of an inch right down in here and join those raw edges. Then when you join the raw edges, you'll kind of fold everything back together again and you will have a loop. And then your loop goes on to your, you know, you finish your loop and you'll do some stitching right on your edge stitching, some top stitching, and then you're done with your lanyard, your wristlet. So the nice thing is that I don't think you need to use anything harder than shape flex on the inside. I think that will give you enough stability because this is not a particularly heavy wallet. Okay, my next video should kick off where you're joining your raw edges together. Okay. I've sewed about 1/4 of an inch right in here, maybe a little bit more, and then I'm going to go ahead and put it together. And I'll go ahead and put it up like this. This gets a bit bulky, so what you can do is you can trim this a little bit. You can also here, here. You don't need to, if you used, you could use shape flex. I think that would be fine. I think shape flex would be fine. This adds a little bit more, well, it adds a lot more stability actually. But it's not, but I think shape flex would be perfectly fine. You don't necessarily need to use your Pellon, but I did because I can. Okay, so that's that piece. And then what I'll do, beat it into submission. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my sewing machine and I'm going to go ahead and sew, you know, a real narrow, you know, 1/4 of an inch or maybe even 1/8 of an inch, and I'll probably sew down one side here, and then I'll come back around and I'll sew the other side here to make it symmetrical, just like I did here. And then I'll sew a little piece right in here to keep my lanyard from floating around. I just wanted something that, you know, 13 inches is about right. It gets my hand through it. So hopefully that's about right. You know, it'll get my hand through it. You could potentially, you know, if you wanted a little bit more maneuver room, you probably could go 14 inches and be fine. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and sew that. So the wristlet is done and everything. And again, I think you could probably get away with just shape flex in there versus the Pellon 926. The Pellon 926 works fine with my industrial machine, but I think a home machine may have a fit. And so you could probably easily get away with shape flex. I don't think that that'd be too hard. Again, the beginning measurement was 13 inches. You could potentially go 13 and a half, maybe 14 inches. I mean, I can get my wrist in there without any problem at all. And you understand the principle. This is a 1-inch swivel hook. And then it just clips on to your, wallet. Get in there. Okay, So it slips onto your wallet, so you can go ahead and do what it is that you want to do. Now, to do the big lanyard, I'm not going to do a big lanyard for me because I don't need one, but this piece here, the gross measurement of this is probably in the 38 inches long. Okay, so this is 38-ish inches. What you do is you just take a tape measure and kind of just put it, you know, how you would wear it, either crossbody or just on your shoulder, and do just a basic measurement of how long you need it to be, and add a couple inches because you're going to need to add inches here. Okay, so how this works is pretty simple. You'll make this piece right here, and the raw edge of it, let me see if I can, the raw edge of your lanyard fabric, or your long fabric, goes through your swivel hook. You fold it under, and then I just did a big square. Not hard to do. Then you continue to march and do the same thing with the other side. You put the lanyard or the swivel hook on the other side of your shoulder strap or lanyard strap or whatever, fold it over, finish those, fold those raw edges under so you don't see them. And so add yourself 1.5 inches or so extra on each end, so at least 3 inches, maybe 4 inches to the finished length. And then that should be exactly what you want it to look like. And then you've got yourself a shoulder strap. Okay, so we have beat this to death, and we have, I think, a very pretty wallet. I think that this is really, really pretty. And so we can go through very quickly some of the things. You understand the Velcro, you understand D-rings, button strap, your little baby pen holder, that little baby one. Your wristlet fabric was 13. Stitch witchery, you'll just need a little bit of stitch witchery to make this pretty, 3/4 to 1 inch. This was an inch button. I think that was a really nice looking button, so I think 1 inch is really pretty. Shoulder strap, about 36 inches. You could go 38 inches by 3.5, and you do the same folding as you did with your wristlet fabric. Swivel hooks, you're going to get 1 inch wide swivel hooks, 2 of them. And then your Pellon True Grid stabilizer. If you wanted to do your patterns, this is optional. 1 yard should do you. We talked real briefly about your markings for your large inside card pocket and where your markings are and how you origami press them. Remember, it's 9 inches wide by 28 long, and you're in, out. So we understand about how to do that. And then we understand, too, about the concept of going to the zipperlady.com, using your number 5 zippers, long or short pulls, and your specialty pulls are also available. Just real briefly, your outer lining, that was this piece, okay, your outer lining, that's 9 inches wide by 11.5 long, okay. Your zippered pockets, you'll make 2 of those, and you'll shape flex both of them, so 9 inches wide. Everything is magically 9 inches wide by 10.5 tall. You're going to subcut those zippered pockets. Remember, you just cut it at 4 inches. One side will be 4, one side will be 6.5. Remember, the 4-inch side is what the public sees. So this, if it's directional, you got to play with the directions. Your small outside card pocket is here. You're going to cut and shape flex 1 9-inch wide by 7.5 inch tall, folded together, wrong sides together, and then you'll actually sew it to your lining piece, okay? Inside your lining piece, remember, we've used heavyweight stabilizer. We've used Pellon 926 extra firm stabilizer, but we cut it 1 inch narrower around the entire lining piece because I don't want it caught in the seam. It just gets too bulky. Okay, so 8 by 10.5. You're going to need Velcro. You'll need one piece about 4 inches long. Make sure it's sew-in Velcro. Don't be the adhesive. It'll mess up your machine. Your button, your D-ring strap, and your swivel hook. I think we beat this to death, and I hope that this was really helpful for you. I really like the wallet. And again, if you are the kind you say, I don't need it this big, it's very easy to narrow it up and narrow it up on either width or on length. And you can do a really nice job of making it exactly what you like. I sure hope you enjoyed the class. It was a lot of fun for me to teach, and I hope to give you more classes, but please take time and make one, because once you do it, all your friends will want one as well. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Bye-bye.